Hello, I'm Dan Dawson with The Sportsman, looking ahead to the Betfred World Matchplay. I'm in Barnsley Metrodome right now. This is where the bread and butter of PDC darts happens. Over the last 2 years, some of the top players in the world have been playing in venues like this just to earn the right to step onto that Winter Garden stage in Blackpool to compete in one of the most prestigious tournaments in the world. And it's some of the stuff here that influences what I'm going to predict is going to happen over the course of the World Matchplay. If you're looking at who's going to win it, it's not just what happens here, though. It's what's happened everywhere. I think that Michael van Gerwen is the man who's going to go and claim the title. And it's not just the fact that he's picked up titles here already this year. He picked up the Premier League title. He won the World Championship title. He's won 9 titles in 2019 already. That is more than twice as many as anybody else. He is the best player on the planet. That's why I tipped him to win the Worlds. I tipped him to beat Michael Smith in the final. That came to pass. Yes, there have been some road bumps along the way. In fact, in the last couple of weeks, he's lost some confusing games where he's just seemed to lose focus, being beaten in the World Series by Michael Smith and then by Martin Schindler of Germany in Cologne just a few days before the start of the World Matchplay. But I am backing him to shrug off those concerns and get back to his best, seeing off Steve Beaton comfortably in round 1 and then coming through what could be a tricky half of the draw. There could be Glenn Durrant or Adrian Lewis in round 2. Gary Anderson, the defending champion, could be on a collision course in the semi-finals, but I still believe that MVG, Mighty Mike, is the man to beat. And when Betfred are offering 6-5 odds against for a man who wins half the tournaments that he enters, I think it's a no-brainer. Now, if you were looking for somebody else other than Michael van Gerwen, I'd go to the other half of the draw, away from Michael van Gerwen and away from Gary Anderson. I really do think it is wide open, but the one that takes my eye is the Welsh number 1, Gerwyn Price. He won the Grand Slam, he knows how to win big titles, and he's already picked up a couple of titles this year, here in Barnsley, in fact. Now, Gerwyn Price is right up there in terms of the best performing players in the world, with the likes of Rob Cross, MVG, Peter Wright, those kinds of players. But he's won a couple of titles. He's played really good stuff. He nearly made the Premier League playoffs, and he's made semi-final after semi-final after semi-final, including at the UK Open. I think that this could be the time where Gerwyn Price goes on to make the match play final. If you want to back him each way, 16-1 is not bad for winning the title, but I still think MVG is going to walk away with the Phil Taylor Trophy. Maybe you're looking at a long shot, an outsider who might go and spring a surprise. Last year, Jeffrey Desvaughn looked like that out-of-the-blue player who's gone on an incredible run and played world-class darts. He went all the way to the semi-finals, Desvaughn, only losing out to Gary Anderson, of course. But I think you've got to look at the other half of the draw from MVG. There are so many dangerous players making their debuts here, or perhaps appearing for the first time in a number of years. And Krzysztof Ratajski is the one I like. 66-1 for the Polish Eagle, the Polish number 1. Now, he's not exactly come from nowhere, but this will be a debut at the Winter Gardens for him. He won a title early this year. He nearly won one in the very next day, only lost in the final to James Wade. And last year, before he even won a tour card, he won 3 PDC titles in venues like this here in Barnsley. It's not just in these environments where he's successful either. Before moving to the PDC, he won the World Masters and beat some big names in the BDO along the way. You cannot overlook this guy. He has ice in his veins. I think that Blackpool is absolutely made for him. You look at the averages list on the Pro Tour events this year, and he's up there with the very best in the top 10. I believe that the Polish Eagle can deliver. He's in a very tricky section. He's in the same quarter of the draw as Gerwyn Price. He might need to overcome the Iceman, or if somebody else could get rid of him, it might do him a favour. I think that at 66-1, there's a load of value in Krzysztof Ratajski. Maybe backing him each way to either go and make the final or to win it, but I think there's money to be made. One of the really exciting things about this year's Betfred World Matchplay is the number of players appearing for the first time or for the first time in a long while. And I think you can make some money if you have a look at some of those guys and back them to really produce on the Blackpool stage. I've picked out 4 who I think can go and win their opening games. Now, one of them is Krzysztof Ratajski. I think he's going to beat Darren Webster, who is the seeded player. Another one is Keegan Brown, playing for the first time in a few years in Blackpool. He's been excellent this year. Twice he's beaten Michael van Gerwen on a big stage on the European Tour, playing some really, really good stuff. Looks like the former World Youth Champion really is now realising the potential that he showed all those years ago. Glenn Durrant is a man who has pedigree. He's won 3 world titles, and it's perhaps the best game of the first round, with Duzza taking on Adrian Lewis, the 2-time world champion. But when you look at the form of the 2 players over the last 6 months, Glen Durrant is certainly the better player in terms of averages, in terms of title wins, and just in terms of his outlook on things. He believes that he can go and make a big impact in a big PDC tournament. He came to the PDC and his #1 priority was to make it to the Winter Gardens and the Betfred World Matchplay. He has achieved that already. I believe he can achieve even more and maybe set up a second round tie with Michael van Gerwen. The other one is a bit of a punt, but I am so impressed with Jamie Hughes, a guy playing his first full year on the tour after failing to get on the PDC at the start of last year. He takes on Michael Smith. Now, Michael Smith, I believe, is an incredible player. He's not only the world finalist, he was a finalist in Vegas as well at the US Darts Masters. But there is just the thing that Michael Smith is finding ways to lose games, even if he is throwing 100 average. Jamie Hughes can certainly throw 100 average. He's thrown massive, monstrous 100+ averages many times on the tour this year. I think that if Jamie Hughes can overcome Michael Smith, Keegan Brown can beat Johnny Clayton, the Welsh #2, who can be inconsistent. Christoph Ratajski can see off Darren Webster. He'll be the favourite for that one. And Glen Durrant can beat Adrian Lewis. You were looking at 10-1 for that accumulator. I think that's a decent punt. If you want to take a look at other bets, there are loads of various markets and specials that Betfred are offering, but the one that sticks out to me, it goes back to who I think is going to win the tournament. It is mighty Michael van Gerwen. Now, MVG, he makes a point of leaving the 170, the biggest checkout in the game. Sometimes he'll take it out more than once in a match. And I just do not see how it is possible for Michael van Gerwen to go all the way through the tournament in Blackpool, all 9 days, and end up stood on stage with the title if he has not taken out the big fish. I believe that it's an inevitability if he is going to go and win this title again. And you look at the offer that they've got, it's 9-4. That's more than 2-1 for MVG to win the title and take out the big fish. I just think if you think Van Gerwen is going to underline his status as the world #1, as the world champion, as the Premier League champion, by going and becoming match play champion once more, then the 170 is definitely going to go. And you bump up your odds from 6-5 to 9-4. It is an absolute no-brainer.